we're back for episode 5 of With Love V. I am so excited to be here. Your girl has been sick for like 5 days, probably the longest I've been taken down. And it all felt like a scam because I worked so hard to take care of my body and feed it and treat it right. And then to get taken down like that wasn't the most fun. But I'm back. I'm getting better. My voice is back, which I'm thankful for because I'm really excited to talk about today's topic because it was something that I've been mulling around in my head and just trying to figure out how to approach it. And thankfully, this week gave me clarity on what I want to say and how I want to tackle it. And so, per usual, I'll start with the backstory. There was a contract that someone reached out to me about for work, for my freelance work. And I was so hype about it. I've been wanting to pivot my career more towards project management. And this was a role. It was with a larger company, which, looks great on your resume in terms of, seeking out other work. And also financially, it would have set me right. And, I interviewed for it. I got down to me and one other person who was an internal employee, and I didn't get it. And I was crushed. And honestly, I've been in a slump lately because of it. And it's been a really hard place for me to be in. And I couldn't figure out why exactly it was so hard for me for a bit. Because something just felt off. I didn't feel like myself. I was just, I was skewing towards the negative a lot more. And I don't like when I'm like that. It just felt very dark for me. And so, around the time that happened, I was talking with my mom, who is a woman of great wisdom. And, she asked me how I was feeling. And, I was like, I'm disappointed, blah, blah, blah. And then she asked me again a little bit later. She was like, okay, but how are you really feeling? And it was at that point I had to tell her, I was like, I hate saying this, but I was like, I'm mad at God, and I was like, I feel terrible. I feel terrible having to say that and having those words come out of my mouth. But I was like, I really am mad. And I was like, and I'm just mad and confused as to why, why would this opportunity come this way? Why would it not work out? I'm mad. I am heated. And it was to the point, after I got off the phone with my mom, I really worked through that anger. I was in I know I looked crazy. I was in my apartment. I was screaming, I cried because I was just frustrated and I was tired at that point. And that was something I kept saying to my mom on the phone. I was like, I'm just so tired. I'm tired. A feeling I get so close to something and then it gets taken away from me. And I was like, I don't understand why I keep getting brought to this place. And I think at this point, I'm working through understanding that why a bit more. And that's something about me. I just like to know why. I like to know what's going on. But the fact is, you're not always going to know why. That's not something that we always need to know. You just have to trust. But I think in that moment, working through that anger. For me, it was just a lesson of recognizing that God gives us this full range of emotions, and we're allowed to exercise them healthily, preferably. We're allowed to exercise them. And I think in that moment, it was just that was me exercising that anger. But in exercising and expressing and emoting that anger that I was feeling, I feel like it put me on a faster track to healing and understanding and remembering God's promises for me. Because the alternative, I realize, is just like, and this happens in real life as well. It's just like, if you're angry about something or angry with someone and you suppress that anger because you don't want to acknowledge that emotion about yourself, or, you don't want to admit that you're capable of being angry, because anger is just such a bitter emotion. It can be such a bitter emotion. And when you suppress anger, it does become bitterness. And had I sat there and not been honest, or not taken that anger and opened myself up to God in that moment, it would have easily been repressed, because I know myself. It would have easily been suppressed, and it would have turned into bitterness. And all that would have done is driven me away from God. And I would have allowed that to happen, and it would have been my fault. And that's not something I want, because I might not understand the why, but what I do know is, one thing I'm certain of about this season is God is stripping me down right now. He is tearing me down so that I'm in a state of like complete surrender to Him, and completely trusting in Him, not trusting in what money someone else will give me, or what people of this earth of this world will give to me. It's like focusing on like, what are God's promises, and what can God give to me, and what does complete and total surrender to Him look like? And I'm telling, like, He is wearing your girl down. And I've told him multiple times throughout this recent phase that I've been in, especially, that, I tell him, I'm like, God, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. And I don't know. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. And it's a thing of like, it's not so much like, what I can do is trust. What I can do is work on my faith. What I can do is focus on Him and continuously turn to Him. Like, when I'm feeling those emotions, like, feel them and get them out. But like, don't suppress those emotions. Get them out so that I can then quickly remind myself of like who He is for me, and continue on that path of complete and total surrender. And I feel like I say this often. It's like, it's not easy. It's not easy. And I'm still learning, and I'm still figuring it out. And also in all of this, like, trying to avoid being pessimistic and negative about things, or like lacking hope in the fact that, like, this one thing didn't work out, and you might have been riding for it, but it wasn't the opportunity for you, and trusting that. But trusting, like, you got this close. You are capable. But there is something better. Like, I really just keep having to tell myself, like, there is something better. There is something better. There is something better. Like, that's the why that I'm, like, holding on to and like burning deep in my heart. Of, like, the reasoning behind all of this. And it's getting better day by day. Some days obviously are better than others, but I just have to keep working. I know that's my job. Like, I have to keep moving. I can't just sit and not do anything. Like, I can't sit and just give up. Like, giving up just really not an option. But it's like not giving up, continuing to do the work, continuing to put myself out there, and like not losing faith in like, the gifts and the skills that He's given me, or, not letting myself at any point think that like I'm not capable. It's just like, I know I'm capable. I know there's something there. But I just have to like hold strong to that and just like keep reminding myself. And it's kind of like, I do affirmations in the mornings at this point. Something new to me. It felt really crazy at first, but it's just like reminding myself of who I am through Him. And not to let, the negative thoughts or like the bad thoughts take root. And Another thing also is just, I think this experience is making me more comfortable with vulnerability. And that for me is an area that I really, really struggle with. And like I said, when I was in my apartment screaming and being mad, like that was an extremely vulnerable moment. Even though like it was just me in my apartment, like there was no one else around, but it was still very vulnerable for me to even open up to God in that way, which is telling that there was tremendous room for growth in my relationship with him and like how I viewed him and how I, interact with him. But yeah, I think being vulnerable in that moment, it really just, like I said, it stripped me down, it broke me down, and it allowed me to like open myself up for healing and for restoration. And not just trying to put on like this front, like everything's okay, like everything wasn't okay. And like even sharing this story right now, like I feel lighter having shared it. And like being very open and honest with y'all. Because it's very easy for people to be like, oh, everything looks great on her end, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, nah, your girl's not having the best of times right now. And that's just real. And I don't want to like sugarcoat things and like make it seem like things are like honky dory when that's not how I'm feeling. Like these are my true feelings and this is how I'm working through it. But yeah, and it's definitely just like encourage y'all to like not be afraid of your emotions. Like you're given emotions for a reason, and you should finding ways to like healthily express those emotions so you're not suppressing them. Because like I said, like suppressing things, like it can iterate into so many other more dangerous and toxic things that can just wreck your relationship with God or like push you, like you're pushing yourself further away from him while he wants to use those for you to come closer to him. But instead you end up pushing yourself further away. And like that even can manifest in like your relationships. Like I will completely admit that I had started to like close myself off from like my friends and my family because like I didn't want to admit that I was struggling. But again, like that moment of complete surrender and being completely honest, it also helped me open up and share with like the people who I hold close to my heart, just like what I was dealing with. And even then being able to have like conversations around how and like understanding like I'm not the only one. Like my friends are going through something very similar. And so it's just also affirming to like be able to also look around and know like for sure, like you have that community around you as well of people that you can trust and rely on to come to with these vulnerable moments, and just kind of like talk through things and not feel like you're alone or not feel lonely. But yeah, so we're working through it. I'm hopeful. I'm expecting something great. And I'm trying to walk in like a spirit of expectancy, knowing that like there's a yes, like this is all for a reason. And I'm just being made stronger, and as is my relationship with God and like my closeness to him. So I hope this helped. With love, V.